Hey, Rebel, it's Andrea. Welcome to this amazing conversation with Martha Bodyfelt. Martha is a dating coach for grown-ass women. You can see that in the background. She is amazing. She and I talked a little bit earlier, and she's got some amazing information for us ladies as we're dating over the age of 40. So Martha, first of all, will you tell us a little bit about your coaching for grown-ass women? I love it.
Absolutely. So, hey, everybody, my name is Martha Bodyfelt, and just like Andrea so warmly introduced me, I am a dating and relationship coach for grown ass women. So, as we know, grown ass for me is at least just kind of like a sensibility. It's a lifestyle. It's who we are. We're not middle aged. We're not over the hill. It's none of that. We just happen to have a couple of decades under our belt. We're most likely 40s adjacent or over 40 and better, and we have our careers like on lock. We know what we're doing there. We may have been married before. We may have had long-term relationships before, and we want that again. But we're going out there and we're trying to date like everybody else is telling us how to date, but it's a nightmare. It's a shit show. You're
Yes.
swiping right, you're swiping wet, like left, like everybody's just like wearing sunglasses and baseball caps with like giant fish and beer bellies. And we're just like, what am I doing here? Surely there has to be great men out there. What am I missing? What's wrong with me? And the beautiful kind of work that I get to do with incredible women, just like your audience, Andrea, is I get to show you the ropes and give you the tools on how to date successfully so you can actually attract and experience the love that you desire and deserve. Because it's not too late for you. You're not too old. It's not that there's no great men out there. There's plenty of incredible men out there. You just need to learn how to find them in a way that works for you. And that's what your girl is here to show you how to do.
Frustrates me when women my age say there are no decent men out there, because you know what? They're saying the same thing about women.
Yeah.
And we're awesome, right? Martha has courses and one-on-one coaching. And if you want to talk to her just to sort of have a cup of coffee and a little chat, go to her website at marthabodyfelt.com. So I have a bunch of questions for you, Martha. And a
Absolutely.
lot of these were given to me by other rebels who are just like, I don't, what, help. Okay, so here we go.
Come to
First
the right
question.
place. Yes,
So
let's do
yeah,
this. Yeah.
so I read an article years and years and years ago
Yeah.
that said a woman over 30 is less likely to get married than get struck by lightning. So that was a long time. I was 17 and I started to panic. Is there any truth? I was like, I'm never going to get married. Is there any truth to that anymore?
So not only no, but hell no. And what we see statistically is almost each and every year, the marriage age actually goes up incrementally, incrementally, incrementally. And so we have a situation, I think the average marriage age now is closer to 30 than we're talking for first-time marriages. So, because for many of us who are rebels, we are looking at maybe our second or third marriage or, a serious relationship. And so, no, I think what we have, and when we see information like that, and when we're online or we're, just having a cup of coffee and we're reading that, understanding what is the purpose for that message to be there and what it is doing, it is sensational. It is causing us to think in scarcity. It is causing us, especially women, to think badly on ourselves. Statistically, it's not true, but then it's also understanding when you receive the messaging, whether it's from your friends or from media and society saying that, oh, you're over the hill or whatever kind of like problematic things that we've been hearing, for years, understanding that's not true. And the messaging behind that is because somebody out there is making money off of you feeling bad about yourself.
Someone's out there making money off of us. Plus, it's a scare tactic,
Of course
like
it
you
is.
said, and scarcity and fear is a great way to motivate or manipulate people. So
Absolutely.
we're going to move on to another question. This question, I think you're going to like. It seems like men don't date anymore. Is that true?
Absolutely not. No, There are incredible men who are 40 and better, 50 and better, 60 or better, and they want to date. They don't want to be players. They don't want to, yeah, maybe there are some like that, but there are incredible men who are midlife and beyond who want to fall in love again. Maybe they're widowers, maybe they're divorced, maybe they've just maybe never been married, or maybe they're getting out of a long-term relationship and they want love, they want connection. Guess what? They're not that different than, women of a certain age. And the reason I know this, and I don't know if I've told you this, Andrea, but the reason I know this is because I actually used to coach exclusively men. And I used to coach, yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. That even leads to a bigger, what do they say about why they're not dating or why they are or how we can find them?
I mean, it's basically the same reason that women are saying that they're not dating, because they say they don't want to be rejected. They say
Oh,
men are afraid of rejection too. I mean, this whole idea of every guy being like some Superman with no feelings is completely false. There are great men out there who they want to date, they want to fall in love, they want a partner to spend their life with, and they want to have that at women who are 40 and better. They don't want to, yeah, there's of course always going to be like weirdos who want to date like super younger than them, but understand that those are few and far between, because what I learned in my time dating, coaching men who are midlife and beyond, there are incredible men at midlife who are also looking for incredible women at midlife. And they share the same kind of concerns that we do. They don't want to be rejected. They don't want to be just kind of like objectified in terms of, oh, if this man's not making $500,000 a year, he's worthless. There's a lot of kind of being self-conscious about that, even men who are financially secure. They say, well, what if I'm not driving a Tesla, or if I don't have a private jet as a woman, even you don't want to be with me? They're very self-conscious about their appearance as well. And they feel awkward and don't like online dating either. Believe it or not, nobody really likes online dating. And what you find is a lot of incredible men aren't online because they know they don't
ah,
present well that way.
okay,
So
right.
that's a little insider intel for you guys, that there's incredible men who are midlife and beyond who are sharing the same concerns that you all are. I promise.
If men are not dating online, where the heck are they?
Fair enough. And I love this because in my Ready for Love group coaching course, we have this entire kind of week for weeks, because it's a 4-month course, and for literally 3 weeks, we actually have an entire module called Where the Fuck Is He? And it is basically from, everybody knows that from Sex and the City, like, where is he? And
Yes,
so
yes.
and so it is kind of thinking about, where are these good men? Spoiler alert, everybody. The good men are not going to be in your Pilates class, the good straight men. They're not going to be at your book club. They might not be at your wine club, and they might not be at the salsa dancing. But what you have to start thinking of is, if you want to find great men, you have to think about where would they go. One of the things that I love to share with my clients is that a lot of really great men like to go to steakhouses. They like to go to Morden Steakhouse. They like to go to a McCormick and Schmick's. They like to go to whatever, Lone Star Steakhouse, or whatever kind of like local steakhouse or a chain, doesn't matter. You're going to have great guys who are off of work, or who are there for business, who are hanging out with their coworkers, who are usually men as well,
Yeah.
are just wanting to kind of kick back, talk about work, and strike up a conversation with a wonderful age appropriate woman. So
Wow.
there's
So
so many
if we
great guys
just
there.
go like sit at a bar in a steakhouse, we might just meet some really cool men.
Absolutely. And going to even like a sexy hotel bar, and just feeling confident with yourself, putting on something that makes you feel absolutely incredible, and just practice speaking with people there. The idea that I love having to do this with my clients, and giving them this as like their homework, is not to, okay, the first time you go to a Morden Steakhouse by yourself, the gentleman that you speak with, they might not end up being your boyfriend, but it is getting confident and putting yourself in a situation that is a little bit out of your comfort zone, to start talking with people in real life, because of COVID, because of online dating, because of all of this stuff. And a lot of us work from home. We're not having that interaction like we used to. And that's a muscle that we need to continue to build. But you can't just run a marathon right away. You have to get out and start building that stamina and building that muscle. And there's no better way of doing that than just practicing having conversations in a safe environment like that, because there's plenty of men that are there. Great guys, you meet them on the golf course. You can meet them at a gun show if you're into that. You can meet them at your local REI. I love to tell my clients that too. If you want to go and practice talking to good looking men, go to REI. because you might get a date out of it. And if not, at least you're learning how to compose yourself talking to men that you're attracted to.
You're training. We're in
Exactly.
training for the actual date.
Absolutely.
I love those ideas. I appreciate them so much because I love what you said about you're not going to find men in your book club or your wine club. People always say, well, find something you're interested in, a running club or something, and join it. There will be men there. And I joined a singles running group. There were 8 women and 1 man.
I believe it.
And yeah, and so the groups or the clubs, I think they're kind of worthless as far as meeting men. If you just want to meet some great friends, go for it. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing to that is remembering that while that advice that go and do something that you love, I think that's foundational.
Great. Yeah.
That's good advice. But you should be doing that within the mind frame of I'm doing this to enjoy myself, but to just go and join a club with something that you don't love just for the sole purpose of meeting men. I had a client who signed up for like a Civil War history class. I'm in Washington, D.C., right? So it was this interactive Civil War place out in some of the battlefields in Virginia. And so she was a, great woman, incredible divorce. She was, late 50s. And she would just say how frustrated she was going to these Civil War talks and walks. I said, I didn't know you were a Civil War buff. She says, well, I'm not, but I figured there'd be really great guys there, but the only guys who are there are who are like 80 years old. And look, if you're a Civil War buff, go ahead and do that. But if you're not interested in that, why would you do that? We as women, I think, are more social creatures than humans are social creatures, but especially with women, that's just how we're conditioned. That's how we're wired, is to form those connections and to form it easily. Understanding that men may, yeah, they're social creatures too, but they're not going to just as easily form those connections, especially as they get older. Because unfortunately, men, I think, of a certain age tend to be a little bit more isolated. And so it's understanding where would men go that are feeling comfortable and where would they bond with other men. Chances are you're not going to find like a great guy in his 50s or 60s who is financially stable, great relationship with his adult children in a running club for fun.
Okay, Rebel, we're on this. We're going to have homework assignments. We're going to go to the steakhouse, or let's take a group, like let's learn to golf so that we can go hang out on the golf courses.
One of the most powerful things that you can do as a woman of a certain age is to feel confident enough to go in those spaces by yourself. Because I'm going to tell you something, that if a man sees you at the top golf course, if the man sees you at a normal golf course, if a man sees you at the bourbon tasting, if a man sees a single gal doing those activities, there is nothing sexier to a man than that a woman who's in her feminine body, who's presenting like feminine, who also has that confidence to kind of learn those things and go by herself without a bunch of girlfriends, which can be very intimidating to even the most accomplished man. That's a wonderful way to have a conversation with great men out in the wild. But there's a couple things. You have to be willing to go by yourself.
Okay.
And you have to be willing to just be okay and be open, have some fun, be sexy. Those are the great ways to go and to connect with great men out in the, I like to call it out in the wild.
Wow, it never occurred to me that going alone is more powerful and more attractive to them than a bunch, like a flock, a gaggle. Yeah.
Exactly, because some of my clients will push back on this, but I've learned this phrase and I honestly believe it. Like, what goes in packs will not attract. And so if you're just like with 5 of your girlfriends and you're just, giggling and having fun and being loud, but you're like, oh, I'm not talking to men, why aren't men approaching me? Also, if you're like, well, if I'm a woman and I don't, how do I make the first move? I don't want to make the first move. What do I do with that? At the very beginning, if you find a man who's attractive, sometimes men are clueless and they don't even know that you're going to be like looking at him. So there is nothing wrong at the very beginning when the stakes are so low to just go and start a conversation. Hey, let me give you my number. I would love to continue this later. But that is all the initiative you take. Because then to be in your feminine, he has to then take that initiative afterwards. But for you, showing your interest, signaling, I'm attracted to you, I'm available to talk to you, and I would like to get to know you more, that is perfectly fine. And that is because men aren't mind readers. And especially, men might mindful men might not want to come up to you because they don't want to be seen as a creep. They don't want to be seen as scammy or harassing you or anything like that. And so a lot of times, because I do have a client who actually runs a bar, and she is very frustrated because she says, well, no men ever talk to me. No men ever talk to me. What's wrong with me? Like, no, they just don't want to get kicked out of your bar. They don't want to be seen as skanky and gross when they love coming to your bar. As women, and this is just a very evolutionary thing, as women, it's kind of like on us to signal, to let the man know that you are interested. Great to initiate that contact, but then that is going to be on him then to kind of pick up. And if he's like, doesn't ask you out, doesn't call you back, that's fine. Then you know he wasn't interested.
Right.
But he has to know you're interested first, and he can't read your mind.
Yeah. Well, that brings me to, it's 2023. Yeah. Shouldn't we, and we're like, you're a strong, independent woman, you can ask him out. But it sounds like, no, like we could make the first move. And I've asked men out with disastrous results. Right. And so why shouldn't we ask them out? And why don't they like it if we ask them out? Why is that a turnoff?
Right. And so I think there's a couple of things. Yes, it's 2023. Yes, we as grown-ass women, we're running our own finances. We're professionally successful. We have our house in order and all of that. However, what I have seen, and it's something called feminine masculine polarity. And this is just, for like kind of folks who are hetero or cisgender. I know kind of dynamics are differently if you're members of other communities, but so this is where I'm coming from when I'm speaking that from like cisgender heteronormative. The thing though, is that there is kind of this natural order that men want to pursue. Men want to find the prize and cherish her. But if you are taking that role away from a man who wants to pursue, it's kind of like he's like the weak lion. He's gonna be eaten. Men want to pursue. That's not meaning that they're predatory or whatnot, but we as a women want to signal that, hey, I'm interested in you. But if you're planning all the dates, or if you're asking him out, that's almost kind of like taking away like the fun stuff that like he wants to do. Because if a man is truly attracted to you, and a man really wants to be with you, he is going to make that effort.
Okay, that's really good to know.
Right.
Because I think we get in our heads about, I can ask him out if I want to. And it sounds like we could, but we'll have better results if we let him do the chasing.
Right. And it all depends on what you want, because, I think that there are plenty of women who want to take the lead on everything and plan everything and do all that. They're the ones who in a couple of years say, my partner's not acting like a partner. My partner's acting like a son. My partner's acting like a child.
Been there.
Think back. Exactly. We all have, trust me. And it's like looking back, what were all the things that you did that you took the initiative and you were almost holding the entire burden of the relationship? And we don't want that anymore. We don't want that. We want a partner. We want to feel cherished. We want to know that, yeah. Great men know that you can take care of yourself. They get that. They know you don't need them, but it's even better because you want them. And they want to be there, and they want to kind of sweep you off your feet and provide for you and all that. Yes, they know you've got a great 401k. They get it. You don't need to tell them how strong of they know that. A confident woman is one who signals interest, that says, yeah, I'm interested in you. I'd love to go out with you and get to know you sometime. And you back away. And then a man who is interested is going to romance you and do those things. But if you want to have that relationship where like the man woos you, you can't be making all the plans, because you're only going to attract like the beta men and the men who just don't want to do anything in their relationship and just be lazy. And we're done with that. We're grown-ass women.
Sex on the first date, yes or no?
It depends. That's okay. I think that there's
all right, on to the next question.
Right, because I don't think that there is I think it depends, as what is it that you want? If you as a woman are feeling it in your body that this is what I want, this is what feels good to me, that's great. However, I would caution that if you are the type of woman who gets attached too easily right after physical contact, and if you don't feel bad, because guess what? That's our evolution that did that to us. Dopamine, attachment bond. And so if you know that you are going to get physically or emotionally attached to someone after you're intimate with them, don't have sex with them until you're in a dedicated relationship with them. Bottom line.
Just know that if you do have sex on the first date, that might be all he wants. So don't get angry and say, well, why didn't he call me after this?
Right. And it is
Okay.
interesting. That might be all he wants. I think as women, one of the best things that we need to start leading with is what is it that we want? Because we always say, I don't know how he feels, how does he feel about me? What does he think of me? Doesn't fucking matter. What do you think of him? How do you feel around him? How does it feel in your body? Your response to him, and just kind of getting in touch with kind of like feminine, listening to your body energy instead of like being up here all the time. Now, I personally don't think that there's anything wrong with having sex on a first date if that's what you want. If you are just looking to get dicked down, if you are looking, because who isn't, who isn't, but
Oh,
if it's been if it's been a minute and you just need like a nice release or whatever, your vibrator's like not doing it
not doing it
anymore,
for me anymore.
and that is something that feels good for you, and that is what you want, and you don't feel pressured, have fun, do what you want. However, if you know that you were going to get emotionally attached, then that might not be the best for you. But every woman is completely different on that. And it is just getting very, very grounded in what is that you want, not feeling pressured, not having any societal whatever, but what do you want? So that is why when I say it depends to that answer, it is just, it depends on what your attachment tendency is. It depends on what do you need, and it also depends on what you're looking for. Because if you want to have like this long kind of very deep, very seriously intense, and you do want to have that build up, and to you that's even sexier, don't have sex. But if you're like, let me get dick down and see what happens, I'll be okay regardless.
Dick down.
Which Martha tells you it's okay. Yes.
Okay. What can we as women do to make ourselves more, I don't want to use the word attractive because I'm not talking about looks. How can we become a dating goddess? I mean, what can we do to make men say, yeah, I'd like to hang out with her?
Sexiest thing is a woman who knows what she wants. I think we as women need to get very grounded in what we want. The sexiest thing, and it's not even just for the male gaze, but it's for you to feel confident as a rebel of a certain age, is to just get very grounded in what you want. If you want a serious relationship with a good man, get very, very clear on your standards and your non-negotiables. A man loves a woman who knows what she wants and just feels like really, really good with that. So I think that's probably the first thing to get more confident getting out there, is just what is it you want and being unapologetic about it. And don't compromise your standards and your non-negotiables for anybody.
And that's easier said than done, because I've had people say, you're too picky. No, I'm not. My life is great. It's going to take somebody pretty amazing to make me want to change what I'm doing right now. That is something I think a lot of women think, well, all right, I'll just settle because I'm lonely, or I just need that companionship. It's so easy to do that. So I love that in your course, you're going to help us figure out, you'll help me figure out what are your non-negotiables, what do you want, and you don't have to settle. You're not being too picky.
Absolutely. And I think that there is kind of this fine line that I see as well, is knowing that you should literally only have like 3 to 4 non-negotiables. A standard is different than a non-negotiable. For example, I had a client who she had said one of her non-negotiables was, the next guy that I date has to be a marathon runner. I don't want to deal with anybody who's not a marathon runner. And I'm like, well, what if you meet the man of your dreams and, he happens to be, a member of like the wheelchair community, that, he might be differently abled, kind to you, incredible. And it was almost, and this is a woman who's like 62, and you could literally hear her head explode. And so then it's kind of digging down with, what are the values and what are your standards and why are they really important? It had nothing to do with the marathon run. It had to matter that she actually felt her husband never wanted to spend time with her. And that was the actual. So it's sometimes when we say too picky, we look at that not from defensiveness, but curiosity, that like, well, what are the things I'm saying I need? Do I need to have a man who's 6 foot? I can only have a man with a full head of hair. I have to have a man who makes more money than me. Like, what are these things that we're saying are non-negotiables? Are they actually negotiable? Obviously, we are all as women going to have different standards, different values, different, non-negotiables. The point is to just get very grounded in what those non-negotiables are. He's kind, growth mindset, curious. Those are mine. That is what we get when we are so grounded in what the actual non-negotiables are, when we are so grounded in what our standards are, which is very different than I think being picky, because just because you have standards, I don't think you're picky. But it is understanding, are your standards really the standards that are for you right now? Or is that like a younger version of you saying, I want a guy with a really fast car, or I want a guy who's at least 6 foot, when a guy who's like 5'10" is a wonderful man too. So it is just kind of knowing yourself. And if you're like, well, Martha, I've never had to have that type of introspection. Nobody's ever taught me this. Like every single person I ever meet says, I don't know how to date. Nobody taught me. I'm like, nobody fucking taught you how to date. Nobody did.
No.
None of us
No one
going
knows. We're winging it.
No, we're winging it. Exactly. But it is knowing that you don't have to wing it alone, that there are professionals who have been doing this, who have coaching certifications like Martha Bodyfelt, who can give you those guideposts and give you that no bullshit advice and structure along the way. And that is what I do in my programs. And I'm happy to share that with your audience if you'd like.
Please share that. I think we could all use this. I mean, you are a true rebel girl, even though you're married, we'll allow it, but you are awesome. You are badass. So tell us, how can we get your help?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am on my, what I like to call, I had my starter marriage, and now like I'm on my rough draft marriage, but I'm remarried at 40. So there's a couple things. So actually this is going to be very timely, but early May, I am going to be doing what I like to call a 4-week mini offer. In just 4 weeks, you are going to learn how to get so attractive in your desirability and so confident in your desirability as somebody going out to date again, that nothing is going to stop you. It is just the entire month of May that we're going to meet twice a week. You're going to get an incredible, out of your comfort zone, basically homework assignment every week that is going to build your confidence and get you to start dating in a super sexy manner. And then the other day of the week, we're going to have question and answer. You come, you ask me questions with the other ladies. It's going to be a very small group, and you are going to get so empowered and so supportive. And then June, July, and August, we'll meet once a month to give the stats. Who'd you talk to? How many dates did you go on? What did you learn about yourself? What did you learn about what you like in men as a grown-ass woman? And what do you not like? And so that is a summer offer. It is an introductory offer. It is only a 4-week intensive to get you geared for summer. That is going to be information that you can reach out to me on my Instagram at Martha Bodyfelt and send me a DM for more interest. If you're interested to learn a little bit more about that. Wanted to share that with you. You're actually the first person to hear that. And then I'm right in the middle of my Ready for Love group coaching, which is a 4-month intensive program. We started in February. We don't start again until August. So if women are interested in that, they can go to marthabodyfelt.com/ready-for-love to learn more about that intensive kind of group work. And if you're looking to work with me one-on-one, I'm always available and flexible for that. And I would definitely invite you to book the coffee chat in the show notes to learn a little bit more about how working with me can get you to find the love that you desire.
Oh my gosh, you're
so
amazing.
Much. No, you're amazing.
I'm in.
You're exactly all of them. Sign me up for everything.
Yes. All right. Martha, thank you so much. Martha Bodyfelt, dating coach for grown-ass women. We don't want the guy anymore who just likes the same music we do. I mean,
that's great, but that is not a great relation. You do not build up a healthy relationship because you both like Aerosmith. Doesn't work like that.
No. Martha, thank you. I can't thank you enough for your time. This has been so fun and enlightening, and I can't wait to talk to you again soon.
Same. Bye, everybody. Have a great week.